Well, hopefully the connection's working better than earlier this morning. Good afternoon. What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping by this weekend. And I wanted to talk about this story that's been going on for a couple of days. I think this is considered day 8. The situation started March 1st, 2025 on a Saturday. And we're going to be talking about Dane Paulsen. Still missing all this time. Sounds like a pretty bad. It doesn't sound like a good situation. This kid was in the front yard playing and then went missing. They live by this river. It's called how you pronounce it? The Siletz? Let's see what I have to look at the name. Siletz River. They live by a river less than 100 feet away. We're going to get into the timeline. FBI has joined the case. And it doesn't sound good. I've covered a couple of stories where there was a missing kid by a river. I mean, there was that one autistic kid I remember one time we covered. And then there was that girl that I covered not too long ago. A family that was going from, I'm trying to think what state. Let me see, family crashes into ditch, girl still missing. Yeah, it was in 2024. I covered this story about this family from Oklahoma. They were driving to Texas, I believe. And they crashed into a drainage ditch, and it was like right there by like this water and a river type of thing. And the father passed away. And he was trying to save his daughter, his 8-year-old daughter. And he was holding her and he'd lost her or something. And so they found his body lifeless, not too far from the car. And then still, as far as I know, from what I see, they never found her to this day. Crazy. So this story here started on March 1st, 2025. Last seen at 4:25 p.m. Let me see if I get a map so you guys can get a visual too of the area. Pull this up. This is in Oregon, this place. I believe that this is the house over here. Siletz Highway, this area here. This is the river. It's a pretty fast moving, rough river from what I've seen. What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome. And so March 1st, 2025, he's last seen around 4:25 p.m. They said that he was playing in his front yard of his family's home near Highway 229, just north of Siletz, Oregon. His home is less than 100 feet from the Siletz River. And so a lot of people have been talking, a lot of questions have been raised. Why was this kid outside of the house? Seems like by himself. And I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. You know, I'm not the parents. I don't know. Maybe I wonder if they felt comfortable in this area. You know, maybe they felt comfortable. Maybe they felt safe. The house is like here. I believe it's this one from what I saw online. And you can look. Let's just take a look over here. The street view. That's the house like in the background there, I believe. And the front entrance, let me show you that too. That's the gate right here. Kids at play. They got a sign outside. Be alert. Any weirdo sees that, they're probably like, ooh, I don't know. But it seems like this is the house. There's other properties too. If you look at the map, I think we're looking at this right here, but the address I pulled up was back here. Anybody that's been following the story could probably tell me. But yeah, this is the Siletz River. Let's take a look at it on the street view. And I'm going to show a little video later too so you can get an idea. But this is the river right here. Some of the videos I saw, it's like a very fast moving river. Like a lot of flow, strong currents from what I saw. And initially when the story started, when this situation happened. So 4:25, he goes missing. At 4:30, they spotted a suspicious vehicle. A late 1990s gold station wagon was seen in the area around this time. But authorities located the vehicle and they ruled out the person. So they're not a suspect. There was a vehicle that was plastered everywhere. And apparently that was ruled out. At 4:40, between 4:45 and 5 p.m., the parents called 911. Dane's family quickly noticed he was missing and alerted law enforcement. So from 5:25 to 5:45, 5 p.m., I'm thinking maybe the family, I don't know if it was the mother or dad. I'm thinking they were inside the house, I guess. And maybe they just kind of kept an eye from a distance inside the house. The parents' names, by the way, the mother is Shamat and the dad is Dane Paulsen. And they own the Chowder Bowl, a seafood restaurant in Depot Bay, Oregon. So they called 911. At 5:30, a search begins. Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and local volunteers started searching. Drones, search dogs were deployed immediately. This is all on the first day. March 2nd, the search intensified, adding 100 plus volunteers, drones, tracking dogs, and divers. Authorities heavily focus on the river, believing Dane may have wandered towards the water. Canine units pick up a scent near the riverbank. So at first, because I think Nat had told me that at first, they had said that the child couldn't have gone anywhere from the front of the house, but now they tracked the canine scent, was able to track the Dane by the river, I guess, which is not good, you know. FBI called on March 3rd, and professional search and rescue teams. The search now covers 700 acres and over 340 miles of land, riverbanks, and surrounding forests. Authorities confirmed that there's no evidence of foul play at this time. I think people were looking at the parents, I guess naturally kind of, but cops are saying no foul play suspected. Investigators confirmed that the station wagon is not connected on March 4th. And today, March 8th, search continues in the Siletz River and surrounding forest. No confirmed sightings, because that's what I was wondering. You know, did anybody see Dane? No sightings. No sightings or evidence pointing to where he's at. And so let me show you, here's another thing. I want to show you some pictures too. Let me switch it up here for a second. Sticky Cheeks, thank you for the 10. Says you have to check out the retired Green Beret soldier missing from NC. Very interesting. Thank you. I'll take a look at that. I saw something pop up about that. There's some pictures of Dane, 2 years old, missing. People suspect, or authorities, seems like they suspect maybe he went and got into the river. All right. Brown hair, green eyes. Last seen wearing gray fuzzy hoodie with black pants. Picture of the family. More pictures, friends and family. That's the Siletz, Oregon. Damn, Vincent. Kid here drowned while parents are getting high. Where's that at? What state are you in? Doesn't sound good to me at all. You know, this is what we just looked at on the map. So the area and the address we're looking at, the property is like right here. And they're literally right by the river. This is the other property right there. Right by the river. So there's that. They have a command center. So the command center, I was reading in an article. Let me show you on the map. Let me show you on the map here. So this is the address. This is the river. And then I read that the command center is like in this area here. Maybe this parking lot. This campground's over here. I put the tip line. There's 2 GoFundMe. So there's one GoFundMe for the family. Assist during the crisis. There's one for the family. It looks like they're about to meet their goal of 18,000. It's they're just asking for help. And then there's one for the volunteers.
I love my 2 years, profound heart, you and
Thank you
this
so much.
rock, purple heart, purple heart, purple heart.
Siletz. Okay, thank you, Blue Wolf. Siletz. Caroline, thank you so much for the 2 years. I think you just got your 2 years. And there's one GoFundMe for the, they said do not donate to this one. Never mind. Do not donate to this GoFundMe. Oh, okay. I should delete that one then. Just the main one. And then some of the videos too. Let's see here. Just want to show some of these, some from the previous days.
Welcome to the 5 o'clock news. I'm Nora Hart. First at 5, we are following an
intense
search for a missing toddler in the coastal town of Siletz in Lincoln County. 2-year-old Dane Paulsen disappeared from his front yard over the weekend. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office has been searching with divers, boats, and investigators. Fox 12's Spencer Schott has been out at the scene all day and joins us now live. And Spencer, I know you were also at the recent news conference.
Yeah, Nora, we were just at the press conference with Adam Shanks, who's the sheriff here down in Lincoln County, and he says they have not found Dane Paulsen yet, but the search is going to continue. They did announce today that they will no longer be organizing any volunteer efforts for the search, but really focusing on specific areas, including the Siletz River. During the press conference this afternoon, Sheriff Shanks says they've been using sign cutters or trackers to really focus on what Dane's last movements were before they disappeared. They said that they were able to track him down to the water's edge, and at this time they do not believe that there was any criminal activity or that Dane was taken. So they are really going to move their search focus going forward onto the Siletz River. They have 13 divers from all across the state who will be focusing on searching the river in the next couple of days. So far, they said they've searched 2 miles of the river around the Paulsen's house, but they're going to continue that search both in front of the house and further down the stream. They did say because of the volunteer efforts, they were able to cover more than 300 miles of walking searches, and they're very thankful for everyone who came out to assist with the search so far. But going forward, because of the evidence that they found that Dane was last found at the river, they're suspending any volunteer efforts and really focusing on searching in the river. We'll continue to follow this as the search continues.
So yeah, mostly searching a river. This one had somebody talking to.
Expecting an update in about 50.
It has been an agonizing 4 days for the family of 2-year-old Dane Paulsen, who went missing late Saturday afternoon. Since then, hundreds of volunteers have been searching the area where he was last seen.
Hi, if you're searching, we need you to sign in over here, please.
On Tuesday, volunteers were out here again.
I'm saying we're probably pushing 600 now since Sunday.
Jeff Lawrence has been helping with the volunteer efforts as hundreds have been gathering at this Elks Lodge just across the Siletz River from where the 2-year-old boy was last seen.
We had kind of called the search last night on this side, and then they decided again to open it up. So it went back out on social media. So we've had people coming in since about 8:30 or 9 this morning.
Lawrence said he called the search off last night only to have it start up again on Tuesday morning. This time, crews went miles back into this forested area and worked their way back.
They came into an area and then they're going to push back this way. So they started a long ways off and they'll be coming back this way.
Crews have been spread all over this area in the Coast Range searching.
As far as the search, I can tell you the efforts have been just phenomenal. So between the personnel that have been out here and the donations that we've gotten from the community,
in hopes that this little boy is found.
Yeah. This one, I think, just show a little bit of the river. That's a little press conference 5 days ago. We're going to watch one that's more recent. Oh, this one shows a little bit of the river.
It is day 6 in the search for a 2-year-old boy who went missing in Siletz, Oregon, northeast of Newport. So this is new video sent to us by the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office of crews searching the Siletz River. 2-year-old Dane Paulsen disappeared on Saturday. He was last seen in his family's front yard. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office has moved the focus of its search to the river, which runs right behind the family's home. The Sheriff's Office says the deputies have found tracks indicating that Dane was near the water's edge around the time that he disappeared. His disappearance has brought in hundreds of community members to help in the search. Some people who have even traveled from as far away as Washington and California. The community search has since been called off, and anyone who continues to look on their own is encouraged to make sure that they put their safety first.
That was day 6. They called it off on day 6? Let's watch some Nancy. I want to see what Nancy had to say. Just wanted to put this story out there, get it. But it doesn't sound good to me. I want to try to be hopeful, but this is day 8.
The residents out of sight of his parents. 382.
From Sheriff Adams' own front yard, authorities intensified the search for Dane Paulsen.
And this is what we are learning from Sheriff Adams Shanks.
At the time of Dane's disappearance, he was playing in the front yard of the residence, out of sight of his parents.
Out of sight of his parents.
382 acres have been searched thus far, as well as 283 miles covered.
That is Sheriff Adam Shanks from Lincoln County Sheriff's Department speaking. The search is on and continuing as we go to air right now. For those of you just joining us, a 2-year-old little tot boy goes missing from his own front yard. Now, this is what we know so far.
Parents of Dane Paulsen realize he has been out of their sight for too long. They look around the yard and inside the home and every place he could be hiding, but not finding him quickly. A call is placed to the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, and deputies are sent to investigate a missing toddler call around 4:25 p.m. Deputies immediately begin a search of the house, surrounding yard, as well as the banks of the Siletz River. A search for 2-year-old Dane Paulsen is hindered by darkness, and the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department quickly organizes a search for the following morning at sunup.
Joining me, in addition to an all-star panel, is a very special guest. Cicely Cook is joining us. When she heard the call, she immediately responded to try and find Top Boy Dane. Guys, for those of you just joining us, a 2-year-old little boy is missing. The search is on. If you know or think you know anything about this little boy, just 2 years old, 541-265-0669. Repeat, 541-265-0669. Cicely, thank you for being with us. Cicely, tell me exactly what happened when you found out Dane was missing and what you did.
I'm like an acquaintance to the family. I wouldn't say I'm a close friend, but we have a lot of mutual close friends. And so it came across my social media within 30 minutes of him going missing. I had seen it. And, it's a rural area. People let their kids play in the yard all the time. So I thought to myself, they'll find him. He'll be somewhere tonight. And by morning, they'll have found him. I woke up at 5:30 the next morning because I just couldn't sleep and I wanted to know. And I got on social media and saw that Siletz was asking for community volunteers to come out. And I jumped right out of bed and went. Thankfully, my husband was off of work that day, so I was able to get out there really early Sunday morning. And we waited around for some instructions. And around 9 o'clock, they started organizing civilian searches. And that's when I joined them.
When you joined them, tell me what you observed.
We had been standing around for a while, kind of up on the bridge and across the way in the community boat park and, just discussing and looking around at what we were allowed to look around at in that area and just kind of throwing theories back and forth. And there was a lot of speculations happening, a lot of people trying to get a straight story of what was going on. And we were standing up at the bridge and they had just brought out the scent hounds down to the riverbank at roughly about 8:30, I would say. I didn't have my phone on me. I don't have service out there. So
this is the map too, by the way. Let me just full screen it for a second. So on the map, we're looking at from the road right here. There's some house or property right here. And then this is the address of where the family was actually staying. Okay. And this is the river running along the whole place.
That's just kind of a guess at the time. And they were bringing the dogs down to the bank and the dogs were going off and then they went back up. So, they were digging through the brush. I kind of thought, maybe they had found something and that, unfortunately, but it turns out that, they still wanted us to search. So they started putting together search parties. And we all started on if it would be the north side of the bridge. So if you're facing the property, the bridge is to the right side of the house. And we were on the other side of the bridge where Elks Lodge Campground is.
Dave Moyer with us, Georgia Canine Tracker, Master Trainer, Program Manager at Military Contracts, and very important, Deputy Canine Instructor with San Bernardino Sheriffs. Dave Moyer, the fact that so much time was lost in the dark hours, that's a problem, because you saw the map, very, very densely forested. When they realize the baby is gone from the front yard, it's quickly getting dark. So a real full-on search could not ensue till the morning. Although they tried, it's really hard to conduct a search for a tiny tot in the night.
Agreed. One of the benefits of that area being so heavily forested is that the scent of if he had wandered off into the woods is certainly going to be it's a far more productive environment for his scent to last longer. So getting the trailing dogs out there trying to track to where he might have wandered even the next morning would probably have been beneficial if in fact he had wandered off into the woods. Again, it's a very productive environment, so I suspect that his odor trail would have lasted a lot longer in that environment.
Wait, why do you say that, Dave?
What these dogs are following, or the theory behind, the scent theory behind what they're following is, as a person is moving around, you have all the oils, some of the sweat raining off you, and also the dead skin cells, also called skin rafts. What the dogs are able to pick up on is that human debris that is constantly being generated by your body as they're leaving a trail and walking. And they're actually able to differentiate the mild decomposition of just those little tiny body particles that fall off of you. And that's how they're able to determine a direction. So a well-trained trailing dog can very easily locate somebody in that environment. But again, time is of the essence because biological decay, and I mean that just for the trail, it happens very rapidly, even in a pristine environment like that.
Back to Cicely Cook, volunteer searcher who wakes up at around 5 a.m. in the morning and takes off to help find Dane. Did you see Dane's mother and father?
I did. They had been out searching and had walked past me on the bridge, and I gave the mom some well wishes, but they're just really not in the headspace to hear from anybody right now. They're so concerned about where their son is.
Cicely, please describe their demeanor.
Upset. I mean, when the mom walked past me, I had tried to kind of, send some well wishes, and it was like just staring into a void. She's just so stressed out, so tired. She's not eating. She's not sleeping. She's it's so rough on a mom to be going through that, and she's just on autopilot right now. She's doing everything she can to find her son. And
what about the dad?
The dad is, I think he's really playing a strong role for the family right now, but you can it's all over his face. They're not handling this so well emotionally as any parent would. They love their kids. They're local business owners. They're very prominent in the community, and they love their family and they love their community. And so this is something
that's this looks like to me that I'm looking at the background, because the parents name Shamet and Aaron, they own the Chowder Bowl. So that looks, even though it's blurred out, it looks like they're standing in front of their restaurant that they own right there.
Thing that's hit them really, really hard.
You're seeing them standing right now in front of the Chowder Bowl. That's their restaurant. Locals love it, and that is why so many people know about Dane in the area and know this family. Joining me right now is a longtime colleague and, dare I say, close friend, Ann Bremner, high-profile lawyer out of the Seattle area. She's a legal analyst. She's the author of Justice in the Age of Judgment. You can find her at annbremner.com. She's on every social platform. And you know why I'm asking these questions. And I don't want to ask these questions, but From all my training as a prosecutor and investigator, you have to ask the obvious question. Now, other sources, in addition to Cicely Cook, have already told me, but they were not eyewitnesses, that the parents are distraught and they are out on foot looking for their child. And as I'm saying that, Ann, I'm getting chills because John David and Lucy, my children, I can only imagine what these parents are going through out looking, but it heartens me to know they're out looking and they're not hiding behind the walls of their home. Remember like Susan Smith did after her horrible plea where she snotted and all that? They're not hiding. They're out there looking. That means a lot to me.
Well, it means a lot. And Nancy, if there's one child missing, it's one child too many. And you've been shining a light on missing children and people for decades. And so you're asking all the right questions. And of course, they are looking for their child. I live in Seattle. This is Oregon. I have a place in Bend, actually, in Oregon. We are like almost 2/3 forest in these states. And this is a pretty rural town. I mean, they're right on a river with all those trees and everything else. So you've got drones, you've got divers, you've got dogs. They're doing everything they can do to find this precious child.
Ann Bremner, explain to me your understanding. And you and I have seen it before. You and I have investigated it before. We've analyzed it before. We've brought down hell on everybody that was responsible before. How did Dane go missing from the front yard? What was he out there playing? Did he have siblings? Was somebody watching him? What happened? And I get it. Where I grew up in the middle of rural Georgia, we could play all day until 6 p.m. till we heard the chimes in the Methodist steeple. Then we knew to go home, right? And that was fine. And there are still places in America where that is okay. This is not an attack on the parents. As a matter of fact, it's a commendation that they are raising their children in a place where there's little to no fear, right? Very rural. Everybody knows each other. So what do we know about how he disappeared from the front yard?
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to know, Nancy. And I kept going on Google and, circumstances of his disappearance. What was happening before 4:30 that day? And I'll tell you something, I couldn't find anything. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't details that were given to the police at the time. But the fact is, it's just playing in the yard. And then they lost track of him. And then he's not there anymore. I grew up like you did. I mean, my mom whistled at dinner time. We were out there on our Stingray bikes and in the neighborhood, and my parents didn't necessarily know where any of us were for a few hours. But this is different. The population there, I think, is about 1,200. And of course, there's forest around there and a river. But how long was he missing before they noticed? What was he doing? There's an older sibling, as I understand it, and these parents are very distraught. But it's really important, as you said, to know exactly what happened when he went missing, exactly what time that was, to try and figure out where he is now.
Ann, I'm bringing up other cases where children have just disappeared, literally snatched out of the front yard. And the first case that you and I investigated together was that of little Samantha Runyon. Listen.
She was laid right literally across the path. She was literally across the path. He purposefully exposed her.
In Orange County, California, Samantha Runyon is playing a board game with a friend in the front yard of her apartment when a man approaches asking if Samantha can help him find his dog. As the man talks, he edges closer to Samantha until he's able to grab the 5-year-old. Samantha is kicking and screaming as the man is able to throw her in his car and drive away. Erin Runyon begins pleading for the return of her daughter. On TV news, she holds pictures of Samantha and promises she doesn't want vengeance, just her daughter. 3 days later, and 50 miles from her home, the body of Samantha Runyon is recovered in a rugged area of Riverside County. This is the case used to push through the Amber Alert system we know today.
When you first saw our now colleague, Erin Runyon, speaking out, that was from our friends at Orange County Register. Ann Bremner, I recall all those nights in the studio that we worked on the Samantha Runyon case, and she was literally taken out of the front yard. And remember, the grandma was in the kitchen looking right out the kitchen window at the baby. And the guy comes up, grabs the baby, and leaves. There are other children playing with Samantha. Everything was fine. And in a moment, it's all over. And the grandma runs out and it just hell breaks loose. It happens just like that. And do you remember Samantha?
Yeah. Oh, I remember like it was yesterday, Nancy. It was so horrible. And you're exactly right. Making it happen in just a heartbeat. It's just like Adam Walsh, John Walsh, shopping in a store, and all of a sudden you turn around and they're not there. And little kids can get pretty fast, pretty far away, pretty quick. But this is basically an abduction in front of God and everybody in plain sight. And look what happened. I remember it like it was yesterday. What a tragedy.
Guys, just like you heard our guest Cicely Cook describing waking up around 5:30 a.m. and rushing to help find Dane, the search is on.
Volunteers show up at sunup to help look for 2-year-old Dane Paulsen, who has now been missing since around 4:30 p.m. the previous day, and law enforcement began setting up a command post for search efforts at a boat launch across the river from the toddler's home. In a heartbreaking post on Facebook, Dane's mother, Shamette, pleads with the public for help, saying, quote, "Our baby is missing. His name is Dane. He's 2 years old. He looks like he's 3 or 4. He was wearing navy blue shoes with 2 stars, white socks, black sweats, with a dark blue zip-up hooded fleece with teddy bear ears on the hood of his zip-up."
Many of us are on our feet all day long, whether it's work, errands, or just life. Foot pain can sneak up on you. One minute you're fine, the next you're...
All right, let's get past that a little bit.
Nearby.
How did this little boy disappear from his own front yard? You know what? That may be neither here nor there because it's done. The search is what's happening right now, and there is a chance to bring this child home alive. This little boy playing in the front yard when mom realizes he's gone. The search expanding at this hour.
As the search for Dane Paulsen expands, officials ask that volunteers remain out of certain areas and to treat all areas as a possible crime scene. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office is being assisted by the Oregon State Police, Lincoln City Police Department, Newport PD, FBI, Siletz Valley Fire, Lane County Sheriff's Office, Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, Polk County Sheriff's Office, Corvallis Mountain Rescue, Marys Peak SAR, and Region 3 K9. Multiple search and rescue teams and sheriff's posses, along with the community volunteers, are following search area guidelines as marine teams and divers are searching the river, and the Lincoln County Major Crime Team and the FBI are also assisting with investigative leads.
With me now from crimeonline.com, investigative reporter Dave Mack. The FBI is involved?
Absolutely, Nancy. This case garnered a lot of attention in legal communities, and everybody joined in. They picked up the phone and called saying, "We need help. We've got a huge area to cover. It's very difficult. We need every asset, every resource." And the FBI popped right in and started assisting the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office.
To Ann Bremner, high-profile lawyer out of this jurisdiction. And again, you and I have dealt with so many searches for children. The FBI brought in, what does that say to you?
Something multi-state. I mean, you and I also talked about Lindsey Baum, remember, in McCleary, Washington, a town of about 1,000. You know, she was abducted in plain sight off the freeway. So, I mean, I look at something like this, and although those cases of abduction are pretty rare, they're out there, like Samantha and like Lindsay, and maybe this child. So I think that might be one reason they're involved. Everybody's involved, like we just heard in the list. That is so many agencies in Oregon and outside of Oregon. It's unbelievable. I mean, the attention to this is amazing and great, but I would think it has something to do with some kind of travel, maybe outside of Oregon. I'm not sure what else it could be. I'd have to think about that one.
Yeah, multi-state.
But I'm glad they're there.
They are looking at a multi-state investigation right now, and I'm trying to figure out why. Of course, Ann Bremner, it could be as simple as the FBI has been called upon to use their resources.
Sure.
We don't know why the FBI is involved, but this is what we're learning from Sergeant Jason Spano, Franklin County Sheriff's.
We are using drones, divers, watercraft, canines, and even a sign cutter to thoroughly cover the area. A sign cutter is a highly trained individual on tracking techniques that involve finding and following signs left behind by people or animals.
Okay, that's from our friends at KGW, hearing Spano speaking. Dave Moyer, are you familiar with a sign cutter?
Yes, it's something that it's commonly incorporated in, and actually the U.S. military used to use this back in the Vietnam era for some of the long-range teams where they go out and do the long-range tracking teams utilizing canine. A sign cutter is usually a visual tracker is another name for it, and there's just varying levels of expertise. And you're looking for anything left behind, footprints, overturned pebbles, broken twigs, matted down grass, any number of things that if you grew up on Westerns like I did, you used to see the Indian trackers talking about on the movies all the time.
A sign cutter, looks for any trace. They look, I know Cicely Cook has been out looking. She's a volunteer searcher, searching for Dane all sorts of hours of the morning, noon, and night. A sign cutter looks for things, try to send them in ahead of volunteers, even ahead of LE law enforcement. They look for things like a broken twig. They look for things like a thread, a sock in an odd location. For instance, in the case we just brought to you, Abby and Libby, the two little girls murdered off the Trestle Bridge in Delphi, portions of their clothes, like a sock, were found downstream from where their bodies were found. So when a sign cutter sees a sock, that may mean nothing to some people. It will mean everything to a sign cutter. They look for subtle irregularities that the rest of us may not see. Cicely Cook, volunteer searcher, when you were let loose with all of the other volunteers, were you given any instructions? Did you see the sign cutter?
No, we were told to try to stay in a grid pattern. Unfortunately, a lot of people out there didn't really know what they were doing, and it is unfortunate because a lot of places just got trampled. And I don't know that first couple hours was very effective. So they did gather everybody back together, and Dan Clanton, who is actually another local business owner, is the one who organized all of the individual little search parties and sent them out in certain directions. I had actually kind of broke off on my own and went and looked on my own until I had my own group of friends show up, and then we all looked together. But I wanted to be able to kind of go off on my own because a lot of people were being very loud. They're talking about soccer practice last week and things like that, and you couldn't hear anything if you tried. And so I kind of went in an opposite direction of where everybody else went, and those were the things that I was looking for. Threads, clothes, handprints in the mud, slide marks where somebody slipped, broken brush, pushed down brush, and I'm going in all the little tiny holes a 2-year-old could go in. I actually have a beagle, and I let him lead the way. Anywhere he went, I went. Sorry, I have a little with me.
Please, I'm happy to hear your baby, especially at a moment like this. Hey, baby.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about what you're saying,
I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. I'm glad they're both home with me.
Cicely, what is the closest highway or roadway to where Dane's home is?
It's Kernville Highway, so I'm not actually sure what the highway number is on that. 229 or 2, is that what that says? Yeah, 229. So around here we call it the Kernville Siletz Highway. It takes us from Lincoln City, Kernville area all the way through Siletz and out to Toledo. It connects all the way through, and it runs in front of their house. So it does connect from the Siletz Bridge, where like the Salishan Resort is. It's kind of right in that area, and then it goes all the way over to Toledo, straight through Siletz.
Okay, what you're saying all the way to Toledo, are you referring to Toledo Street, of course?
Yeah, that's highway where 229 connects, yeah.
Gotcha. It's the Siletz Highway, Highway 229. And Brynner, you know where I'm going with this. And I'm sure you recall, as we all do, the case of Shasta and Dylan Groney. And
oh, yeah.
Of course, at the beginning, everyone thought somehow family was involved. They weren't. They were massacred as well. A perv was driving down the interstate. It was Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And if you look at it above, it looks very similar to what you and I are looking at right now.
Exactly.
It reminds me very much of when I was camp counselor in a national forest. And when we would have campers come through, we'd practically hold on to them so they wouldn't get lost in that forest. This guy driving along the interstate happens to see Shasta and Dylan, brother, sister, in an above-ground pool. And he pulls over, lays in wait, kills the family, and takes the children. Shasta alone survived. So what I'm saying is this connects to Siletz Highway 229. How fast can somebody get to an interstate and be gone with Dane?
Well, absolutely. And that case was so tragic. And again, it was in the Pacific Northwest, like Oregon. It was in Idaho and at Coeur d'Alene, a beautiful resort. Where this is, or the missing toddler is, Salishan, the resort, is stunningly gorgeous. You're talking about basically the coastline of Oregon. And this highway, right at their house, it could be just like the Shasta Groney case. It could be just like Melissa and Lindsey Baum and McCleary. That was like basically an exit and going back on the freeway 101 here in Washington State. And she was found many, many years later in eastern Washington. And of course, she'd been murdered. So right at the river, right at the highway there, absolutely. It's like some other cases, some other tragic cases we've seen here in the Northwest.
All right, so let me stop there for a minute. And I wanted to show this because I found like an interesting post. Let me see here. Somebody had said here, they posted a couple of pictures. Let me put the picture up on the screen and then I'll read this. It's a pretty long post, but it's kind of going viral right now. Here's the pictures. Get it up. Get up the pictures. Get it on the big screen. So this person is claiming they found small footprints out there. Let me see. Hold on. Let me read the whole post. In regard to the 2-year-old Dane Paulsen reported missing, we still need ground search volunteers. I don't know who needs an uplift, but I followed a child's tracks down the riverbank, up the riverbank, down the riverbank, in the shallow water, up the riverbank, into the forest, and then lost it in the forest adjacent to the home. The last track I found is reasonably fresh. I initially picked up on these tracks with the drones, but the sheriff said they couldn't find it. Finally got out there myself today, and I followed it. In the south side of the forest, there is a lot of cougar and bear sign. I think the dogs hit on the water because of him urinating or walking through. I think there needs to be a heavy focus on the south side of the forested area between the parents' home and the Christmas tree farm area. I will add some photos of some of the tracks as far downstream as Story Park. Search day 1 on Sunday. Anything is still possible, but there's still hope. I hope the information encourages the community. Okay. So this person claims that they found these. We'll take a look at these pictures again. These tracks. That's in the water too, looks like. I don't know. Long Island, yeah, I heard. The world is burning down. So that was kind of an interesting post that blew up online. I don't think it sounds good that they still haven't been able to find them all these days. But there's people with hope, hoping that they'll find him.
Just what, if anything, does a gold station wagon have to do with the search for this little boy, Dane?
Investigators canvass the area, searching for any clue or tip that may lead them to Dane Paulsen and come up with a possible suspect. A suspicious vehicle and an adult male were noticed near a bridge close to the family residence, and the family is not familiar with the man or his gold station wagon that was parked nearby around 30 minutes prior to Dane Paulsen's disappearance. As law enforcement gets the word out about the gold station wagon and the unknown male inside, a tip comes in with more info about the man and his car.
Straight out to Dr. Angela Arnold joining me.
Psychiatrist in the Atlanta jurisdiction. Dr. Angie can be found at AngelaArnoldMD.com. Dr. Angie, that right there strikes fear in every parent's heart. Why? If your child is missing in the woods, you got a good chance of finding the child, right? With a tracker dog or just by calling the child, unless it's been hurt. But if somebody takes a child in a vehicle, that's a whole nother scenario. And pervs have it down. They know what to do, as in the case that Ann and I were just talking about, Lindsey Baum or Samantha Runyon or Faye Sweatlick. They know what they're doing, and they often watch the child for a period of time before they abscond with the child in the vehicle. Then you're looking at 60 MPH. It's nearly impossible to get your child back.
You know, Nancy, a couple of questions that I have, and I'm sure some of the viewers are wondering about this also. Is this typical for the child to play out in the yard around this time of day? A big question I have is, how far could a little bitty 2-year-old toddler go? I mean, they're talking about all of these miles and miles that they've searched. How could a little guy have gone that many miles in a short period of time? You would think he would lay down and maybe fall asleep at night or something like that. So to me, those things unfortunately lend to the thought that he was taken. And oh my God, Nancy, I mean, I am so sorry for these parents, because if he was taken, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, isn't it?
Well, the tip regarding the gold station wagon hits a wall.
Following up on a tip that comes in from the community, the gold station wagon and the man inside are located by local law enforcement. Thinking this could be a break in the case, officers follow up everything and determine that the man and his car are not involved in the disappearance of Dane Paulsen, and thank the community for sharing information so quickly. They also use this as an example of how tips related to the investigation will be treated, and ask for the public to continue providing information that could lead them to the toddler.
We are showing you every single shot we can get of Dane, hoping that this may jog someone's memory. The search still active and gaining traction. And joining me, Cicely Cook. What instructions, if any, were you given? You said that it started off as a grid search, but then it all changed. What exactly happened? You've told me the demeanor of the mom and dad, and that corroborates what I've already learned, that they are distraught and they are out searching for their child. What were you told? Any instructions at all?
We were told that if we found him, not to touch him, to cover him up with our hoodie or jacket, and to go and get help. We were given some light instructions. That's a grid searching, space out at an equal space, stay where you can see each other within, 3 or 4 feet of each other, and continue on that way. We were told that if we find any of the clothes that he was described to be seen wearing when he went missing, not to touch it, to go and report it, leave it where it's at, take a picture of it on your phone if you can.
Even after the sighting of a gold station wagon, as it relates to the disappearance of Dane, that ended up as a dead end. Questions arise as to lack of an Amber Alert.
As the first 48 hours have passed with no sign of Dane Paulsen, members of the community want to know why an Amber Alert has not been pushed out regarding the missing toddler. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Department explains Dane's disappearance does not meet the criteria to use the Amber Alert system.
Okay, Dave Mack, what does that mean? No Amber Alert went out on Dane Paulsen. Why?
The real reason, they mentioned criteria, but the biggest one is there's not enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction for law enforcement to actually issue an Amber Alert to assist in the recovery of the child. And in this case, there was no vehicle. The gold station wagon checked out. But there was no description of car, person, or anything. So there was nothing to go on. An Amber Alert would have actually not been able to do anything more than say we have a missing child. And that's not enough to issue.
382 acres have been searched and 283 miles have been covered, but the numbers for areas searched continues to grow as the search is ongoing. In the first 24 hours of Dane Paulsen's disappearance, the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, in coordination with other local, state, and federal entities, have deployed 88 certified search and rescue members, 4 watercraft, 4 divers, 4 drones, 6 human trailing canines, 40 investigators, 138 community volunteers, and the FBI is providing family resources through their Victim Services Division.
In rural Oregon, a 2-year-old vanishes playing in his own yard. Police ask for help from the public.
Right now, the search goes on for this tot boy, Dane Paulsen, last seen in his own front yard. And now, words to the searchers.
As the search for Dane continues, law enforcement is clear they would like to hear from the community with tips, but are encouraging volunteers to limit their searching to daylight hours. The professionals are out at night, but it isn't safe for volunteers. Those interested in volunteering are asked to check in at the staging area at the Elks Tokoti Ilahi campground on Siletz Highway in Siletz, Oregon.
Dave Moyer joining me, tracker, master trainer, canine tracker, and it goes on and on. Why do they say it's unsafe for volunteers to search at night? I mean, this child is just 2, and he's out there.
That might be a liability driven for the policy of the department and the search and rescue teams that are out there. A lot of volunteers that aren't trained to stomp around in the woods at night can easily fall, get themselves hurt, and then create another situation where they would have to employ other resources to extract those people and give them medical care.
Yeah, they didn't do any Amber Alert, I guess, because there's no foul play suspected, I guess. It didn't meet the criteria for their Amber Alert. So no, as far as I know, no Amber Alert was put out.
So obviously the point is not to injure and kill anybody else while looking for this young boy.
As the search is expanding at this hour, we understand that LA law enforcement has used every tool at their disposal.
As the search for Dane Paulsen continues, the technology being used to find the toddler is as good as it gets, with the use of heat-seeking drones high overhead monitoring the river, running 100 feet from where Dane was last seen.
Joining me right now is Ben Dobrin, Emergency Medical Services Marine Dive Team expert, Dean at the D. Henry Watts School of Professional Studies and Professor of Social Work. Ben, thank you for being with us. How would a water search go of the Siletz River? It opens directly to the ocean at some point.
The water search will be very interesting because I don't know that body of water if it's moving. Obviously, the first place they'll search is the closest, the last known point, or the point where they would think that child would go in. So they would search close. And then if it's a river, so the water is going to flow. I just don't know what the flow rate is. You're going to want to go downstream, obviously, do that. But, if the water is not moving too much, you'll search that area, whether it's going to be with sonar first. Oftentimes you'll put boats in the water with sonar to see if you find some sort of anomaly, some sort of target. And then you'll put divers in the water. A river like that is so, even if it's 100 yards across, it's still miles long side to side. So it's a lot of waterway. You can put divers in right where you think the child went in to clear that area. But then, you've got miles and miles downstream, and you can just start putting divers in, but you're going to burn out your resources relatively quickly. And so unless there's some sort of reason why you think the target is in an area, you're going to keep looking with sonar. Or on the shore, you can have a lot of shore-based resources. The walkers who are looking on the shore. We had a child drown recently in my city, and we had walkers on the shoreline, in the reeds and in the trees and the grasses right on the shoreline to see if something will get washed up. It could be clothing, it could be a shoe. Those are all clues. Those are all pieces of evidence. So you're looking for anything that will give you a clue where this child is. And so divers are a great tool, but you can only cover a very small area at a time with a diver.
Missing toddler Dane Paulsen last seen wearing a gray fuzzy hoodie with ears, blue and white shoes, and black pants. His family desperately begging for help.
Dane Paulsen is big for his age. He's only 2, but he looks to be 3 or 4 years old as he plays in the front yard of the family home. Dane is a friendly and outgoing child. Living in the country, Dane plays outside in the yard around the house. Even out of sight for a few minutes, his parents aren't too worried as Dane is probably exploring around the yard.
Many people have been attacking the parents online. I think that's totally uncalled for. In this area, it's routine practice for children to play outdoors. It's rural, very, very practically non-existent crime rate. And it's certainly not the first time a child has gone missing from the front yard. These parents distraught out searching for their child. Again, not the first time this has happened. Does the name Athena Strand ring a bell? Because I will never forget it.
The joy Athena gave her family and the joy she felt on Christmas is something we will never feel with her again. That delivery driver admitting to kidnapping and killing my innocent, free-spirited 7-year-old daughter on Friday, December 2nd. At the time of Athena's abduction, she was staying with her stepmother and father in Paradise, Texas, doing what kids do. Playing within the bounds of her father's property on the same land he grew up and played on.
That from our friends at CBS Texas. Of course, we're talking about little Athena Strand, just 7 years old.
7-year-old Athena Strand is at her father's house in Paradise, Texas, 3 weeks before Christmas, playing outside. When she's called to come inside, Athena doesn't respond. A quick search of the area turns up no sign of the child, and police are called. For 3 days, the search becomes a national story. Investigators interview FedEx driver Tanner Horner, who delivered a package at the home, and he admits to backing into Athena that day and claims out of fear he threw her into his FedEx truck and took off. He strangles Athena and leads police to the creek where he left her body.
At this hour, Dave Mack, the search is going on for 2-year-old Dane. What does the search, what's it comprised of right now?
The search is comprised of land, sea, air. Using every resource available, Nancy, they are targeting the area around the house and beyond, using heat-seeking, from above, where they could see, like, if we've got the little boy in the woods, they would be able to spot a heat signature. They're putting boats on the water, divers in the water as well. And of course, there's crews that are grid searching areas around the woods, but it's very thick. That's why they've talked about how difficult it would be for a 2-year-old to be able to go through the woods when adults are having trouble moving things out of the way.
The search of the Siletz River going on. Ann Bremner with me, high-profile lawyer out of this jurisdiction who has dealt with so many similar cases. What is your advice to searchers and to the parents tonight?
Keep the faith. I mean, they've got dogs, drones, and divers. Just keep it going, one foot in front of the other. That's all they can do, and hope for the best. I mean, really hope to find this child.
Yo, tickle tits. I looked at your name, but I didn't read it. I just saw the avatar, so I just assumed that was you. But then now that I look at, I see your new name. I see. I got your message.
Doing everything they can do.
Cicely Cook, are you going to search again?
Yeah, I'm actually going back out today. So I'm an avid kayaker and I'm an avid camper of that area. I kayak the Siletz River 3-4 times a week, maybe more during the summer and during the warmer season. So me and my best friend today are going to go put in at Iqua Park, which is more down towards the bottom of the river. Currently, right now, professional search and rescue is focusing on the point of the home and then 2 miles downstream. They're saying that the water temperature is about 44 degrees. It's moving about 5 to 10 miles per hour, and you can see about 5 to 10 feet in front of you under the water.
And to you, Dave Moyer, children have been found after several days. It's not over yet.
That's correct. And it really kind of depends on what canines they're able to employ. There's a couple of different disciplines out there. In this case, the trail is going to be pretty much gone with the time that has elapsed, but you can do what's called area search dogs and live search dogs and search large areas very quickly. And there's a piece to this that I wanted to bring up. No one's really mentioned it. I'm not that familiar with the area for what kind of wildlife might be out there. He's small enough that it is possible that, perhaps a wild animal managed to pick him up. I worked a case where a 2-year-old was picked up by a coyote and drug into the woods once several years ago in California. So, I mean, these are all options. I just don't have any information for what these guys are seeing on the ground, if there's any evidence whatsoever to point them in that direction.
Well, Dave Moyer, none of us want that, but it's a possibility. And in our line of business, we have to look at every possibility. That was Dave Moyer joining us, and now Ben Dobrin. I mean, there's Sean Hornbeck and Ben Omby that were found years after their kidnaps. I don't want that here for that time to go by. My point is, there is hope. It's not over yet, Ben.
Oh, absolutely. It's not over yet. I mean, you're right. They have found kids who've been out in the woods for days, and they're just kind of down in a hole or in a gully or somewhere, and they're just waiting for somebody to find them. One of the things as a public safety is this kids going missing is very important. We just heard from the volunteer search and rescue person, the kayaker. Everybody in the community wants to do this. Everybody wants to help. You better believe that police and fire and EMS are out there, and they are not going to stop. They want to find this child. They want to find him happy, healthy, and well, but they're going to keep looking until they find, no matter what that means. They're not going to be giving up at all. This is the focus of public safety in that county and the multiple counties around it and around the country right now. This is important. When there's a missing child, we have an instinctual, we want to help. We want to find that child.
And people that are criminals, I don't think anybody argues with if you commit a crime.
The problem is, after this goes on for 2 or 3 or 4 days, you've got to make them rest. And you've got to tell people, take care of yourself. You got to start staggering people, go home, eat something. But the community is pulling together, and the community is not going to stop. They're going. They're going to keep.
So we'll keep an eye out on this story. I was trying to look into a little bit of the Long Island fires that's happening. People are talking about the Long Island fire out there. There's posts and pictures. There's a fire, brush fire. I don't see any actual news live feeds, but there is pictures and videos people have been posting. Let's see if I get us just a news clip here. Here.
We want to keep you updated on this breaking news into our newsroom. Multiple brush fires have broken out along Sunrise Highway. Parts of the highway are shut down in both directions. That information coming to us from Suffolk fire officials. Take a closer look with us at all of these flames. Look how big these plumes of smoke are. This is video coming to us from viewers. We have been getting flooded with calls from people all afternoon for the past couple of hours telling us about this smoke that they are seeing as they are driving along Sunrise Highway, and look how big that is. This is video sent to us from people who said they were driving near the fires. Now we have a look at the area for you so you understand where it is that we're talking about here on Long Island. This is around the Center Moriches area, West Hampton Beach, Quogue, out east in that direction, not far from Gabreski Airport in the southern part of Suffolk County. Now, once again, police telling us that Sunrise Highway, a major artery there out in Suffolk County, is shut down from the William Floyd Parkway exit to West Hampton Beach. That is important information. If you are heading that way, you're waiting for someone to come from that direction, or you have something to do out in that area, because look at how close these flames are to the side of the road, the smoke there. We are told that the Center Moriches area of the highway is also closed in both directions. And Southampton Town Police tell us Spionk Riverhead Road is also closed due to these brush fires. So a lot of road closures out in that direction. Again, this is toward the eastern part of Suffolk County. We want to show you this map again, just so you can understand exactly where it is that we are talking about. The red area that you see right there in the center of your screen, in the center of this map, that is just south of Sunrise Highway. This is the Center Moriches area towards West Hampton Beach, Quogue, east of Shirley. This is the location that we're talking about, not far from Gabreski Airport. We also want to make sure that we keep a close eye here on the weather conditions, because we also know that it's a little bit windier today than it normally has been. So we're going to bring in now meteorologist Julian Seawright. He has been keeping track of this fire throughout the afternoon ever since we started getting calls from people. So we want to talk about what the wind is like outside and what we need to know about these fire conditions. Julian, break it down for us.
So what we have been dealing with, Tama, is that these gusting conditions, though they're not as bad as the last couple of days, are still strong enough, especially adding in the fact that it's been a very dry environment and atmosphere for us, that brush fires could be ignited very quickly by just a small spark. Anything can really erupt any kind of fire for us, and that's exactly what we have going on for us. Taking a look towards our gust in itself as of right now, what we've been dealing with, you can see the plumes of this smoke, as we have mentioned, a very large brush fire. And this is all just because we've seen the added ingredients that are possible from high winds that have been gusting around 30 to 35 miles per hour, some spots a couple miles per hour higher or even lower, but still it's gusty enough that when you add that, especially with the dry conditions, it is definitely going to be adding any kind of real issues for us, that anything can spark and can erupt rather quickly. And that's unfortunately what we've been dealing with over towards the east end, especially for this area, which has a lot of dry conditions for us. Even though, yes, we did have some rain earlier this week, we have been dealing with some dry conditions since then, especially those blustery winds, the cold. All of it has been adding into the fact that with that high pressure that's settled in, dry is what we have for the weekend. And unfortunately, we're not looking for it to really receive any real moisture over the next couple of days. So this is going to be something that we're going to be monitoring very closely. And of course, we'll be adding to anybody who's watching, be very vigilant this weekend, because it will be dry. It's still going to be a bit windy, not as bad heading into the overnight, but still windy enough that is going to be a cause of concern going into the later parts of this evening until those winds start to die down. But still, hopefully we can get this under control rather quickly.
Julian, thank you for that update. We're going to continue to keep you updated on this fire. We want to give you one last look. And again, we're keeping you updated, not just here on the air on News 12, but also on our app and on our website. So if you don't have the app, now's the time to download it. The smoke from this fire is so enormous. We had a viewer calling from Connecticut telling us that they could see this smoke. We're going to continue to keep you updated. Stay with us here on News 12.
Yeah, so those fires are in Connecticut. I'm going to start a new stream so we can hang out for a bit and just cover what we see. There's going to be an official update happening soon, too. So let's do that. I'm going to transfer you guys over. I'll drop the link in the chat for the new stream in case you miss it, in case you don't get transferred. Drop the link right there.